The following program is brought to you in part by the film Backdoor Channels, The Price of Peace.
Welcome to another Leon Charney report. We have a really eclectic and exciting show tonight.
My name is Zeev Rotstein. In the last 12 years or so, I'm the Director General of the Shiba Medical Center, a hospital of Israel, a big facility, a stretch over 150 acres with 2,000 beds, 7,000 employees, and more than 1,400 physicians. But what we do, it's important. We save life. We retain smile over children's faces, we prolong cancer patients' life, and we contribute a lot to science research, trying to find way how to fight with diseases and to overcome them.
Good evening, my name is Zohar. I'm the mother of Tal, who died 5 years ago at the age of 26. It's very hard to say these two sentences together. And hard to believe. Tal was an artist, an activist, a healthy, beautiful girl. She studied for 2 years Western medicine in Amsterdam and then Chinese medicine in Tel Aviv University. She was at the peak of her life. She came one day from a trip to the Sinai desert with a stomach ache that didn't stop. We did many checkups, and without any preparation or consideration, and even before the doctor fully entered to the room, he said, "I know what you have. You have cancer." I will never forget that moment. I collapsed. The journey with Tal lasted 10 terrifying months. We visited 4 different hospitals, met with many doctors. We were dominated by fear and chaos. It was a scary journey, especially being parents of a girl full of dream, hope, and the will to live. Tal was known as a fighter of human rights, animal rights, ecology, and peace in the Middle East. She was always busy in helping others. Her death was devastating to many. That was the moment everything changes for me. I realized that we must choose, and that we are not going to choose depression. We will not fall. We will do, we will act, we will change. We will change the culture of cancer treatment. Our role will be to give tools, hope, and compassion to those who will meet cancer after us. We realized that there was so much information we didn't have during Tal's battle with cancer. Information that would have made the process more human. How to deal with life, how to deal with food, how to deal with food additive. What alternative treatments can support Western medicine? Who can give us emotional and spiritual support? We knew for sure these tools can support the immune system, which has to be stronger than ever. In December 2013, we founded the Tal Center for Integrative Medicine in Shiba Hospital at השומר Medical Center.
לא הכרתי את טל אישית, אבל אני מרגיש כאילו הכרתי אותה. את הגיל, את המאבק, את האישיות. היא פגשה באויב האכזרי ביותר שקיים בעולם, מחלת הסרטן. זה אויב נורא, ואין לו מכנה משותף. כמעט כל סרטן הוא אינדיבידואלי בפני עצמו. ועל כן גם כל מי שלוחם בסרטן, הוא גם כן לוחם באופן אישי בסרטן. שומע שטל ניהלה את המלחמה במשך שנה, באומץ לב, והוכרעה. מה נגיד? ניחש את הוועידה של ההורים ושל כולנו. אני חושב שזה מאוד נוגע ללב. שהורים החליטו להמשיך את הסיוע לבנות גילה של טל, או לבני גילה של טל, גם כשטל איננה. לתת להם את האקסטרה הזה, שבנוסף לרופאים ובנוסף למכשירים, את הציוד ואת החוכמה להילחם. זה קרב נגד המוות. אף פעם אסור לומר נואש, גם אם נופלים קורבנות. אדרבה, כשנופלים קורבנות יש להגדיל את המאמץ. וזה לפי דעתי דבר נעלה ומרגש. אני מברך את ההורים. אני יודע כמה קשה להם. וכמה קשה להם להקים מוסד כזה.
TAL Center is an innovative idea. It's we're not inventing the wheel, but we're using the wheel in different ways and in a way that's very unique. We do what's called integrative medicine. We treat patients with cancer with complementary medicine techniques, which are what we call evidence-based, which means that there's research which supports their effectiveness on the one hand and their safety on the other hand. And we do this within the Institute of Oncology, within the framework of cancer care, which is being given by the conventional oncologists, as well as our practitioners who offer treatments in complementary medicine.
One of our enemies is, of course, cancer, and cancer should be defeated. And fortunately, we are playing a central part in fighting cancer, using research, going into details to the genetics of cancer, to the immunological reaction of the body towards cancer. And we imply a lot of newest technologies to fight with cancer, whether it's a cellular therapy, or it's immunotherapy, or it is blocking the genetics or the mutation of the genes that are part of cancer. We develop the Shiba Cancer Research Institution into an international institution that is collaborating with 50 more Ivy League of hospitals and universities and biopharma companies. And together, as we collecting data, as we go details into the mechanism of the cancer disease, we started lately to see fruits, and the degree that we save patients is fantastic one, but still we have miles to go before we rest, and we promise to do it with everything that we have.
A diagnosis of cancer is usually a shock, both to a patient and to a family, and that obviously affects both the physical way that people respond or react to that diagnosis, but also their mental response. So both patients and also families have this response to a diagnosis of cancer. Now, once they've had that, they also have the treatment they have to deal with, and they also have to deal with the actual issues that the cancer itself causes, and often these are physical issues. Now, to deal with that usually requires the whole person as a whole to deal with it, which once again includes many aspects of the body, both physiological but also other aspects. I think the TAL Centre helps patients deal with that by complementing or what the conventional doctors are doing. And patients feel that they have this other side that some professionals are also looking at and trying to look after, and that's how to deal with the situation. A lot of the chemotherapies will cause side effects like nausea, vomiting, just general fatigue and tiredness. At the moment, I think the role of the alternative therapies at the moment is more in the supportive care to help either manage side effects or manage pain or symptoms caused by the cancer. I don't think the alternative therapy at the moment is part of the curative treatment. Maybe that will change if we get more evidence, but at the moment I don't think that's the case. But it definitely helps manage the side effects of the treatment and also the symptoms of the cancer. As part of that, if we are able to manage the side effects better and we are able to give the treatment at the right time, at the right dose, then maybe, yes, we will actually be able to cure or get better results with our cancer treatments. And that's where I think the role of the alternative or the complementary or the TAL centre is at the moment in helping us. And what we do is we often suggest, recommend, or at least discuss with patients whether they would want to speak to the TAL centre, whether they would want to go there, get advice from them, see what options they offer, and then together, usually the treating oncologist and the treating doctor from the TAL centre discuss to try to find a treatment that will help manage the side effects or the symptoms.
Cancer are a lot of diseases. These are the diseases that have something in common, which is coming from the normal physiology of the body and from normal physiology of the cells, where cells are starting to proliferate without any regulation, and eventually they take over the tissue, and then they go to other tissues, and eventually they have the potential to kill the patient. When I'm saying that this is a lot of diseases, I don't mean only that there is a difference between a colon cancer patient and a breast cancer patient, but I even mean that there are differences between colon cancer patient and another colon cancer patient. So it's a very heterogenic disease where every patient experiences it in a different way. And because every patient experiences the disease in a different way, every patient needs a specific treatment for his own disease. And that's what we are trying to do here. We are trying to give each patient the most specific treatment for his disease.
So TAL Center began as a center for providing patients with integrative medicine, so homeopathy, acupuncture, and various types of Chinese approaches for medicine. But we're taking it now a step further, and we're adding research on top of that. And we're taking questions from the Chinese medicine and integrative medicine approaches and tools from these disciplines and testing them in research which is designed in the Western way of research, trying to get answers that would be valid to the Western physician, because there's obviously some information, there's some valuable information, some valuable tools, but in order to use it, we have to test it in the Western way and see what works and what doesn't work. So we have several ongoing research projects from this, conceived in this way, from taking Eastern ideas and testing them in Western tools. So one such project we have is testing Chinese herbs. So we're disintegrating the formula, testing it on cells, trying to find out the best combination, and we're going soon, hopefully, to start a clinical trial with the best combination. Another project is testing low glucose. So everybody says that low glucose is good for cancer patients, but nobody has actually tested that. There's a lot of wisdom in the idea, but in order to get something useful, we have to test it in a way that is controlled. We know the glucose level in the blood, and we'll try to lower it with adding the relevant medications and then see what it does to the cancer. And finally, I'll say a few words about immunotherapy. So the immune system has been an obvious goal for many years. The alternative approach of medicine would say you have to boost up your immune system to fight the disease in your body, but nobody has really done that. And recently we have tools to do that, but we need to find the best way to do it. So we have a model in the lab where we're taking pieces of cancer, and in this way we have the immune system as a whole with the cancer in the test tube. And this way we can test the parts of the system as a system and not each section separately, which would be the usual way of Western lab work. I'll mention one more progress we have in the Shiba Medical Center. We have now the ability, we'll soon have the ability to do what is called CARs. It's the next generation of immune therapy, which would be taking immune system cells from patients and adding on top of that a tool that targets these cells to the cancer, specifically to the patient's cancer, and then injecting those cells back to the patient. So that's like a guided missile of the patient's own immune system targeted to the cancer. There have been some fantastic results with that, and we're going to implement that soon at the Shiba Medical Center also.
Let me give you an example of one devastating disease, which we call it malignant melanoma. It's a malignant disease of the skin, but it kills quite everybody in a very short period of time. Devastated malignant melanoma can today be treated at our center by using cell therapy, that we are taking the mechanism of immunity of the same person. We take the blood cell out of the tumor, we multiply them, and then we return them back as fighters against the melanoma cells. The success rate of fighting malignant melanoma in our center today is almost 50% of patients who had only yesterday no chance to live. Today we combine more therapy that enhance the immunological system of the body against this specific cancer, and we further improve the results. I believe it's an earthquake. This is a real revolution. And what we do actually with cancer, with majority of the cancer, different diseases, we continue letting this patient live with cancer as chronic disease. As they are continue living, we have to add more therapy to these chronic diseases. And in our center, we combine the therapy, the modern therapy, and also additional type of therapies, what we call alternative type of medicine. And that's together with the regular therapy, enhance the therapy, give the patient more chances, and actually make them much more happy. And not so sad as somebody who's just getting a chemotherapy or the orthodox type of therapy. This kind of combination with everything, with the love and care that we have, make our oncology center, specifically TAL Center. TAL Center is the center where we are introducing additional type of alternative type of medicine and some Chinese type of medicine on and above the regular treatment. And this is the uniqueness.
TAL Center has a very important part in treating the cancer patient in this center. And the reason is because when a cancer patient entering the center, he has a lot of needs. One need is, of course, to get the best treatment for his cancer. But he has a lot of other needs, including taking care of his symptoms, taking care of his psychological situation, and in a lot of these needs, TAL Center is giving a good answer, because a patient that is entering this center is in a big stress, And when he come into the TAL center, first of all, he relax. Secondly, he is getting treatment for his symptoms. And these are some of the main needs of the patient, which let him go over this period of his life in a much better way.
What's so special with TAL Center? We're going to check new things. Homeopathy is definitely a questionable thing. Some people believe in it, some people don't. This is the time to check it up. The Chinese medicine, the East medicine, uses it a lot, and it looks like it works. However, we cannot prove it. But for me, as a physician, as a researcher, I have to check it, and I have to check it good with my patients. I'm going to look into breast cancer patients who get radiation therapy. They get tired from radiation. I'm going to use homeopathy to see if it helps them with their tiredness. It's a question. We will answer it, and we can prove or not if homeopathy works.
I mean, the truth is that today, even conventional cancer treatments are very personalized. Every patient is getting something that might be slightly different, and it's getting more and more advanced in that way. And complementary medicine, the ancient Chinese treatments and other therapies which have developed over the centuries, they always saw things that way. Everybody's a person, everyone's an individual, their energy, their chi, or their vital force, however we want to call it, everyone's different. And you have to treat each person in accordance with what their baseline situation is, their energies and their resources, and where they are now, what they're suffering from, what they're complaining of, and what's really bothering them, and sort of work at that level of, on the one hand, on an individual basis, but at the same time, learning from others and seeing what helped them, and then we'll use that for this patient as well.
Chinese medicine has an history of 7,000 years. In the West, we don't really understand the whole I would say mechanism of the Chinese medicine. When you look at a regular institution of TCM, it's the traditional Chinese medicine in China, you find people happy. And they claim it's delay the progression of the disease, sometimes it cure the disease. Today, what we do, we believe in the molecular basis of cancer. So in one hand, we are fighting the genetic mutation, the molecular type of cancer, and we use very sophisticated and modern molecules that have been right now developed. But on the top of it, we don't ignore completely 7,000 of experience. So luckily, we can combine both of them for our patients. So what we know, first of all, that even if it's only suggestion, which I believe it's much more than that, you know that belief is helping people to overcome diseases. So we help them. And using new and modern molecules in one hand, and traditional Chinese medicine on the other hand, this is, for us, is a combination that is winning.
Okay, I don't like to say that we're doing things that nobody else is doing, and there's a lot of really good medicine going on in Israel, as well as complementary medicine in Israel. What happens at the TEL Center is sort of combination. We're bringing together all the different aspects, facets of integrative medicine, which is treating patients. That includes treatments such as acupuncture, reflexology, homeopathy, and mind-body therapies, yoga, meditation, qigong, and other treatments as such. We're also doing research, clinical research. We have a basic research lab as well, in which we examine the effects of herbal products, herbal medicine, formulas on cancer cells, immune cells, and what we're doing is we're bringing the bench to the bedside, the bench being the table in the lab, and the bedside being the patient's bedside, the clinical research. It's what we call today translational medicine. Translational medicine is a very hot term. It's a very exciting term. It's very difficult to do because you need people who are scientists, basic scientists, researchers, and you need clinicians who know how to run and develop and design and carry out clinical research. And it's very hard to do both at the same time. And here we have a unique opportunity in the cancer center, in the conventional oncology setting, to test complementary medicine therapies such as herbal medicine in the lab and see how they work and prove that they work, or whether they don't, in the conventional medical clinical setting. And that's something very unique. That's something that we are really at the forefront of this type of a framework, of a setup, of the translational medicine, basic research, clinical therapies, all together under one roof.
Today oncology is not only about chemotherapy or radiotherapy. We still treat a lot of patients with chemotherapy and radiotherapy, but oncology in the last 2 decades became very advanced. And that's because we understand much better the biology of the disease. And we understand more and more that each patient has his own biological mechanisms, and we try to personalize the treatment for each patient. Eventually, there are a lot of patients that will have a disease that will be treated by chemotherapy and radiotherapy, but usually it will be a part of a strategy, of a treatment strategy that will include other modalities of treatment and not only chemo and radiation. There are today specific diseases that we used to treat with chemotherapy, and today we don't treat chemotherapy anymore. We give them biological treatments with new drugs. And today there is a huge advance in the understanding of the immune system. So we have now new treatments and new drugs to activate the immune system against the cancer. So there are a lot of developments, and the field is moving very fast forward, and we understand more and more that each patient needs to get a more personalized and specific treatment for his disease.
So a lot of the evidence that we have is anecdotal, so it's what patients are telling us. It's not a lot of the treatments that are being given at the health centre. I'm not sure if they're proven in terms of medical therapy, but the response that we're getting from patients, yes, they definitely feel that it does help them. And it can help them with their fatigue. It can often help them. Now, my experience with it is more with the patients who are admitted, and we see that it's definitely helping them with their pain. So it can help them feel with their pain, and also with their nausea and vomiting. So those are the two main things that we're seeing at the moment. But generally, with their general well-being, they just feel better.
I think that the world is going towards using the immune system of the body to fight cancer. Somehow, we look at it in the past without so much success, but today, with modern type of immunological therapy, I believe that this is one of the ways that the modern world is going. So in one hand, okay, we enhance this way. We are trying to understand why the body cannot defeat the cancer cell, although it recognizes it as a strange tissue and try to fight it. Somehow we believe that the tumor cells are overpowered, they are overnumbered, and then the body is failing. And that's exactly part of what we are trying to find out, how to enhance this mechanism of defense for the body to defend itself in front of the intruder, the cancer cells. This is one way. Cancer therapy should be, I would say, and should use every possible way. But this seems to us as the revolution of 2015 and 16. And let's see if we are right or not. Let's see how many new molecules are coming, and part of them are molecules that are being manufactured according to our experience and discoveries in the Shiba Medical Center, specifically in the Shiba Cancer Research Center.
So the treatment that's being provided through the health centre is what at the moment we have this shiatsu, treater, so he is coming here to the department and treats the patients here at the department. So while they're admitted, they get it treated here. Once they get discharged, they can continue through the TAL centre if they feel that that's what they'd like. A lot of our patients do come and are readmitted after a couple of weeks for further treatment, etc. So we do have a lot of patients that have a continuation of care with the same shiatsu person, and a lot of the patients, when they come back, they're actually asking us, is he here today? Can we get treatment today? So we're definitely getting very good responses.
You know, some people are not interested in anything which is not Western conventional, proven, off the textbook medicine, but actually many people are very interested. We have a lot of interest all the time in an unconventional wisdom. People usually just go on the internet and find, you know, mushrooms from South America, honey from China, shark cartilage, extraterrestrial forces. People are willing to try everything to fight their diseases, and we are doing it in a more arranged manner, and there's a good, very good reaction to that, a very high interest in that.
So there are a lot of, I think that there are a lot of centers that give Chinese medicine and supportive medicine to the patients. I'm not aware of another center that is integrating, trying to integrate the traditional oncology with Chinese medicine the way we do it here. So the integration is something that is unique for the TAL Center in the Shiba Cancer Center.
So I think the response, actually probably for most people, the response at the beginning has been very tentative. They didn't understand how in a conventional hospital, an academic tertiary centre has a alternative therapist treating patients as an inpatient. After we've explained it to people and they've seen the results themselves, they're actually very thankful that they have this opportunity of having other treatments under our supervision. And so therefore they know that any treatment they're getting is safe and might help. And we do see that definitely there are patients who it's helping a lot.
The truth is that the Chinese are not necessarily healthier than all of us. They have a lot of medical problems because they smoke and they don't eat right. But ancient Chinese medicine, it's quite amazing how much they understood 2,000, 3,000 years ago about how the body works, the physiological functions of the human body and the systems. Their books written thousands of years ago, which are the basis for today's practice. They write things there. Just one example I always like to bring is the Yellow Emperor, who was an emperor who wrote a book on Chinese medicine. In his book, he writes that the kidneys rule or control the production of blood in the body. And we know that that's true today. There's a hormone called erythropoietin, which is produced in the kidneys, and that goes to the bone marrow and stimulates the bone marrow to produce the blood that the red blood cells. And so they understood these things just by observation thousands of years ago. It's unbelievable.
I would say that today the Chinese medicine, the main role of the Chinese medicine is to support the patient, to give him, to let him pain relief, to give him another way to confront the adverse effects of the Western treatments, including chemo and radiotherapy, etc. And it might have, or even some role in curing the patient from the disease, but this is something that we need to have a research and to find how exactly we can add benefit for the treatment of the patient.
Being a conventional MD, It's very hard for us. However, if you look at our private lives, we use Chinese medicine all the time. I use it on myself. I do shiatsu and I do acupuncture. And I send my patients when they have hot flushes, they definitely are sent to acupuncture and look into formulas of herbs. So why not? We have to try it. It's an ancient but very wise medicine.
Actually, I had this meeting a few weeks ago with a Chinese physician that is doing research with us at the TAL Center. And he has this combination of herbs that he says he's going to use, and he says he has fantastic results with. And we want to start a clinical trial. But as you say, we have a different language. So I'm really trying to bridge the gap, because he says, I give this combination to a patient with this level of heat and this level of moisture. I don't speak this language. I have no idea what he said, okay? But I said, okay, can you make up a questionnaire? We'll give the patient the questionnaire. If we get this result from the questionnaire, he goes into this arm of the study. If he gets a different result, he goes into a different arm of the study. As long as it's reproducible, as long as we can document what's happening, what's the result of the test, and how we make the decisions, it doesn't matter if it's not any, if I don't have the receptor for the specific drug. If I can see that it's working, it's good enough at this point. We'll continue later on to study the mechanism.
TAL Center offers complementary treatment as Chinese medicine, acupuncture, nutrition, homeopathy, yoga, qigong, hypnotherapy, support groups for patients and families. But that's not all. The TAL Center is leading the way in education in the field of integrative oncology. Our research explores the effects of complementary medicine on the immune system and well-being of cancer patients.
It's very important for us here at TAL Center to emphasize that we're doing integrative medicine. Now, everybody says they're doing integrative medicine, but integrative medicine really means to take the best of conventional medicine and the best of complementary medicine, again, evidence-based, effective and safe treatments from the world of complementary medicine, and to give them both together so that the patients get the best of both worlds. And as such, what we do is we provide treatments which help patients overcome all the difficulties, all the challenges of the cancer treatment. Chemotherapy, radiation therapy, surgery, all these things have really, really serious limitations on patients' quality of life, on their ability to function. And with our treatments at Mרכז TAL, at the TAL Center, we're able to help reduce these symptoms, help alleviate the suffering, improve the function, improve the patient's feeling of well-being, improve their quality of life, so that they can get the best treatment as possible and complete it, on the one hand, and at the same time, get back to their lives and have a quality of life as best as possible.
Well, we're a tertiary referral center. We're maybe one of the best and probably the largest in Israel. So many patients come to us. Many patients come from abroad to be treated at the Shiva Medical Center. They just come. No, we don't put out any advertising. We have enough work.
I mean, Israel, from my experiences, and I've also worked overseas, especially in Australia, the cancer treatment here is top quality. It's, there's no question the treatment that we give here is as good as I think anywhere else in the world. We're very lucky also that the Israeli health basket provides very, very high quality treatments available to every citizen of the country, which is often there's a lot more that's available than in many other first world countries in the world. So that's, in terms of conventional therapy, we are the highest quality there is, I think. In terms of the alternative therapy, I think Israel is one of the few countries that is making advances and probably leading the way in including it, in trying to include it into major cancer centres like our cancer centre, and also trying to find different ways where we can include it, like the inpatient ward. I think it's something that the population has to still understand what the place is of alternative therapy compared to conventional therapy, or more likely what the additive value is when we add them together. But I think a lot of countries in the world don't have that synergism or the symbiotic relationship that we're having here, that we're starting to build here.
So definitely the patients that are entering the TAL center are very happy that they entered the TAL center. They have much better feelings, they have more strength to try and to deal with the disease, and they definitely the quality of life is becoming much better by entering the TAL center and getting the treatment that they get. There is no question that there is a lot to be done in order that more and more patients will be aware and will be interested in entering the TAL center. But we definitely see more and more patients in the last months that entered and got treatments in the TAL center.
So we've recently just built a new inpatient department, which we are hoping to move into in the near future. As part of that department, we've realised that about 15% of our patients are young adults with their own specific, unique circumstances. Often they've got parents, young children, spouses, and they often have a lot of they have to deal with special issues according to their age. Some of those issues are also thinking about fertility, whether they want more children, whether they want to try to maintain the option for having more children, and once again also they're dealing or having to cope with young children and telling them about the diagnosis and how to deal with that, and also sometimes unfortunately also dealing with end of life with those other surrounding issues. So what we've decided is we've built a dedicated unit for young adults who have cancer as an inpatient unit. It's an area that's separate to the rest of the ward. We will have 6 beds, single bedrooms for those patients within the bedroom, or within the room there'll also be another bed for a family member to sleep with them. We'll also have a dedicated staff that will treat these patients. And we hope as part of that we'll be able to incorporate the TAL centre. And I think often the young patients are more open to or willing to use the complementary therapies, and that's what we're really hoping they'll make a big impact on these patients. I think when we do open this unit, I think the number of patients coming through our centre of young patients, young adults, will definitely increase.
One of the things that characterizes the TAL Center is collaboration. Okay, the tendency is for everybody to be the president of his own country, right? People, especially in the medical world, and I come from the medical world, so I know that this is true, we all like to be the head. We all like to be the leading, at the center of everything, and it's hard to share. And what we're doing here at the TAL Center is something very unique. We know that we don't know everything, we need help, and we need to collaborate. And we're working with other medical centers across Israel and in medical centers, cancer centers in the States and other countries as well, collaborating on research, preclinical research, clinical research projects. There are a lot of things that are ongoing that we've started a long time ago. There are new things that are happening. It's very new and exciting. And I think that recognizing that you can't do everything, and you need people, and you need to do, just a clinical trial, to do a proper clinical trial in one medical center, it's very hard. You need to have a lot of patients, you have to have a lot of input, and everybody can see things from a different way. And all the researchers, if you can get everyone together and do what's called a multi-centered clinical trial, you can increase your sample size multifold. And that will increase the power of the study's findings, and it will increase the impact of your findings, and that can really make the difference. There's so many studies on complementary medicine, thousands of studies, and they're all small, and they're all usually they say at the end of the paper, the research paper, they say further research is needed. So what we need to do is to do that for further research. We need to do large studies. We need to work with other people. We need to collaborate, not just in Israel, also in other countries, in Western countries, in Eastern countries. There's no reason that it can't happen, and it is happening, and we are working with others to make this happen.
All of us here tonight together is the beginning of our small victory on cancer. As our daughter already knew, there is no better life than living the life of helping others. Thank you.